Hello again, it's Jeff Jenkins with Blueprint Consulting. Okay, so you've gone out on your initial meeting. You've done a good job of building rapport. You were able to contrast what you do with kind of the old system that they're used to. You're able to describe the three components of the price equation. You've talked to them about what the next step would be with discovery, and they've agreed for discovery, and now you're a little freaked out because you don't know what to do. Well, relax, I'm about to tell you. So we've got a 4-step review. You can use it exactly as we've designed it, or you can use pieces of it. What it's going to do, it's going to feed our proposal template that many of you know is called a red flags proposal. So how do we do the 4-step review to feed the proposal we're trying to go close? That's what I want to talk to you about right now. So the 4 steps in the review. Number 1, here's what we're going to tell them. We need all of your policies, and here's what we're going to do. We want to understand your risk tolerance as we start looking at your policies. Hey, the old school way, this was just a coverage review. But a coverage review is boring. Nobody wants to talk about a coverage review. So we're going to change that language so we're not so commoditized there. So we said, hey, we talked to you about risk tolerance analysis. So once we understand your risk tolerance, what we'd like to do is look at all your policies and see if they line up with your risk tolerance. How do we do a risk tolerance analysis? We could do a Survey Monkey where we ask them a series of 10 questions about if they would be willing to bet or not carry insurance on a truck that was worth $100,000. That's not what we're going to do. We're making it much easier. Here's how you do a good risk tolerance analysis. You ask the prospect, hey, Mr. Prospect, most companies your size that buy insurance want to transfer most of this risk. And what do you think everybody's going to say? They're going to say, we're no different. We want to transfer. If you get somebody that says, we'd like to assume a lot more risk, let's talk about that at a different time. I'll help you with that. Just call me. But right now, here's all you have to do to find out somebody's risk tolerance analysis. Hey, Mr. Prospect, most companies your size that buy insurance want to transfer most of this risk. How about you guys? Okay. Now they've said they want to transfer it. This is really important. What are we going to do? We're going to take all their policies, work comp, GL, commercial auto, you get it. We're going to review the policies and say, once we understand the key exposures this organization faces, the losses they may have. So if they're an electrician, we know the kinds of losses, or an underground utility contractor, we know the kinds of losses they would have. Now all we're going to do is review the policies to see if they would respond in such a way that would be lined up with their risk tolerance. And here's what y'all have told us over the year. This is so exciting over the years. 95% of the time these policies are wrong. And it's so sad under the old system, we're really just running out, getting a bid, not slowing down and saying, we can win on coverage. Remember, this is just a coverage review. We're using risk tolerance analysis to sexy up the language a little bit. And I just taught you how to determine what their risk tolerance is, how to get them to tell you they want to transfer. So step 1 is basically a coverage review. So we'll be able to go back and show them where they're assuming more risk than they thought they were. Okay, what's step 2? All right, you know, to get somebody a bid, like in the old days, how we got people a bid, we'd get all their policies, we'd get their loss runs, we'd ask for payrolls, we'd ask for fleet information. But there's a lot of other stuff you might need. And this is a template. We'd like for you to get some of your seasoned salespeople in the room and say, hey, if I'm going out on an underground utility contractor, what else could we ask for to show that their agent is breaking down? It could be minutes of safety meetings. It could be, we want to see a copy of your employee handbook. It could be, we want to see a copy of 5 or 6 contracts where you're trying to transfer risk to somebody else. I think you know what I'm talking about here. This is where you could have a blast. If you're really good at business continuity, which we used to call disaster planning, say, hey, we'd like a copy of your business continuity plan. So we could talk about this more at a different time, but get the best salespeople in the room around and say, what documents could we ask for to show that their agent's doing a really crappy job of managing their risk all year? And depending on the tools and resources you have, you'll know what those docs are. If you struggle with that, talk to us, we'll tell you. Okay, so stage 3, step 3 is employee interviews. This is a lot of fun. And we call this one Undercover Boss. So if you've ever seen the show Undercover Boss, the whole premise is the guy in the ivory tower has no idea what's going on in the organization. My wife came home one time and saw me watching this one about Baja Fresh, and I was crying, and so she won't let me watch it anymore. But it's such a great show, and it's really good when you see that the CEO himself came up with a policy, and then when he or she's trying to execute it at the employee level, what a disaster it is. Well, think about this. We're out trying to understand what risks a business faces. And what they're doing to control that risk. And we're normally asking only the person in the C-suite. We're asking the controller, we're asking the CEO, we're asking the CFO. Really, we're never asking an employee or a manager. I have some of the best stories of people out doing employee interviews. So how do you introduce this? You'd say, I'd like to talk to some key employees that you trust and some managers or supervisors in addition to the C-suite to understand from them what do they think are your key exposures and what's being done currently to control those. So don't forget about this. This sounds really hard, but what people have told us is it's really easy and it's really fun. And here's what you're going to enjoy. They're going to say, but nobody's ever asked us about that. Hey, there may be a safety manager, there may be a trainer, there may be somebody in there that starts advocating on your behalf because they're part of the process. Okay, step 4 is what do you physically want to see with your eyes? So think about this. A lot of times people hand you a stack of paper and ask you to go represent them to an insurance carrier, and you've literally never seen anything. And one of the things I always think about is a young guy in the Midwest that had a chance to write the insurance on 12 corner bakeries. These people own 12 franchises of corner bakeries. And he started going out physically looking at them with his eyes, and he noticed early on that one of them didn't have a sprinkler system. But their current property policy had a sprinkler warranty that said, if you don't have a sprinkler system, then if you have a fire, we don't pay the loss. So only by looking at that with his eyes would he ever know that. And so we've had some real fun with this one, and we call it front stage. What do we mean by that? I'm told if you work at one of the Disney parks, if you pick up trash in that park, you come in the back lot, you come in the back door, you change your clothes. When you come out those swinging doors in the park, you're on stage. You're part of their production, all right? This is front stage stuff. So if you say, I would like to go out to one of your job sites for 3 or 4 hours and just watch. And this is very simple. If someone says, what do you want to watch? This whole thing is about 2 things. Understanding the risk you face and understanding how our people are approaching controlling that risk. So you're going to hear, wow, nobody's ever asked for that before. And you're saying, I'm trying to go get you a better deal. And so we need to really understand better. So the 4-step review is going to make you look different. And here's what's amazing. And I think this is counterintuitive. You do not get hired for your proposal. You get hired for the process you take somebody through. That's when people decide to hire you. That's when they decide, I hope this guy wins. That's when they decide, well, I would never take his proposal back to my broker and see if he could beat it. I would never tell him I would not cheat and show his stuff and then cheat. Because through this process is when they have time. The 4-step review is so important because it gives us high value time with a prospect. Contrast that with the old way where they give you a stack of stuff, they don't want to make any time for you, they don't get to know you, and you think with a good proposal they're going to fire the guy they've been playing golf with for 8 years? Well, the 4-step review, if done correctly, gets you into their world, asking some different questions, looking far different than anybody I've ever seen before, where they can start seeing themselves hiring you. So when we actually bring back a better proposal, it will end up with us being hired, not with us being used to help their broker. So if you got any questions about a 4-step review, talk to us. Here's the thing you got to remember. Nobody knows what a 4-step review looks like. Create it. There's discipline in the process, but you can be an artist. And if you ever start doing this, you'll never go back to the old way of selling because you'll understand that this is putting you in a non-selling environment. Look, once somebody hires you, you become their consultant. In this prospecting phase, you're a salesperson. So they don't like you, they don't want to get close to you, their buyer's resistance is high. Well, with a good review, you're already in a shoulder-to-shoulder in a non-selling environment where they start seeing you as their guy. So go out and do some great 4-step reviews, and let's see what your red flags presentations look like. It's the best way to show Chad and I what you're going to go out and try to close with, and we could give you some feedback on the job you're doing. What's sad is when you don't do a 4-step review. We know you're stuck in the old world. Even if you tell us you're not, we know you're stuck in the old world. Because without a review, they've asked you to fix their car without opening the hood, and we know that can't be done. So good luck with a 4-step review. Make sure you let us know how they're going.